Apples, apples, apples. There's a ton of different varieties at your local supermarket to choose from. But did you know that some have been sitting around for up to 6 to 12 months? Why is that, and how are they keeping them from going bad? Stick around and you might learn something new today. Now, we're no strangers to apples. We see them year-round in our local grocery stores and supermarkets. Apples are one of the most widely consumed fruits in America at just under 10 pounds per person a year. There's over 100 different varieties to choose from, whether you like them tart or whether you like them sweet. Here's a little cool illustration where you can see all the wide ranges of apples based off of sweetness. Now these are just some of the most common types that you see at your local supermarket. At the top are the most tart tasting apples like the Granny Smith. And as you get into the middle, they begin to taste sweeter and sweeter like the Sugar Bee, with the most sweet of them all typically being the Gala and the Fuji. It's important to know this: the more unripe an apple, the more starch there is and the less sugar there is within the apple. As an apple begins to ripen, it turns sweet as the starch turns into sugar. During the ripening process, the apple produces ethylene gas, which triggers this activity. Now normally this takes a couple of weeks before the apple begins to mature and ultimately go bad. If most of these apples ripen between August and November, how do we always see them year-round? Well, here's how it works. Apples are usually picked when they are slightly unripe. The apples that are set to be consumed right away are sent into storage in warehouses where they are kept between 34 to 38 degrees. This usually slows down the ethylene production and it slows down the apple's ripening process by about 2 months. The apples that you see later on throughout the year are stored in a much more controlled atmosphere. Not only are the temperature levels lowered in these warehouses, but the oxygen levels for the apples are lowered as well to about 90% less than the usual percentage levels. Like most other fruits, these apples are treated immediately after harvest and sent to their storage. Treatment for those apples looks a little bit like this. First, the apples are put through a rigorous washing cycle to get all the dust and grime off of them. After the dust and grime is off of them, they are immediately waxed. Robots and workers step in after to get rid of any unwanted apples, or those that may be unpleasing to the eye. They either don't have the right shape or color. Now the next part is key as to how the apples last so long. In order to stop the ethylene production, they are treated with a chemical called 1-methylcyclopropene, also known as Smart Fresh. What this chemical does is binds itself to the apple's ethylene receptors and prevents the ethylene from firing. So not only are these apples stored in a much more controlled environment, but they are also heavily treated with chemicals to make them last longer throughout the year. According to the FDA, these apples are still fit for consumption and you shouldn't have any worries about the chemicals as they are entirely safe. If you're looking for apples that haven't been treated this way, try to find the ones that aren't as waxy looking, as these are the most recent batch. Your best bet on finding these are probably at your local farmer's market. I hope you learned something new today. If you're looking to learn some more, be sure to check out some additional videos.